Good morning, Tessa. Thanks for talking to the community show. And would you like to say a few things about how you got involved in Mindline, what your role is, and why you're interested in this area of work?
Thanks, Barry. My name's Tessa Mason, and I'm one of 2 project leaders for Mindline. Mindline Somerset, like I said, is your local confidential mental health helpline. It's been running since 2002, and in 2015 we added Mindline South Devon and Torbay to our Mindline family, and earlier this year we launched Mindline Trans Plus. I joined Mindline as a volunteer about 10 years ago. It was my daughter who spotted Mind in Taunton West Somerset wanted volunteers, and somehow or other she managed to get me to sign up as well. And it's something I've never regretted. Volunteering for Mind very quickly became an important part of my life, and I enjoyed being part of an organisation that were helping people. I learnt new skills like listening. I also learnt a lot about myself, and that made me feel good.
Okay, so if somebody rings any of those services, what can they expect?
Okay, well, Mindline provides emotional support to anyone suffering from any form of mental ill health, be it anxiety, depression, isolation, or for anyone whose life has been affected by somebody with mental health, ill health. It's a listening service, and that's purely a listening service. We don't give advice, we don't give opinions, and we don't judge. Mindline Somerset calls answered by specially trained volunteer call handlers. Mindline volunteers are there for people who just want to talk to somebody or just want to hear a friendly voice when they're on their own in the evening. Sometimes they ring for advice, and we can signpost them. Callers sometimes call in, they're in crisis at the time of calling, and their calls are met with empathy and understanding, and an absolutely safe place for them to talk. Our volunteer call handlers, they come from all walks of life. Many have got lived experience, some are carers, some have chosen psychology or health and social care as a career option. Whoever it is, they've got one common gift, and that's the ability to give time to people who need to talk to somebody. And like I've said, Mindline provides a safe place where confidentiality is our promise. We have around about 30 call handlers who give up their time to do this sometimes demanding yet very rewarding job.
And that sort of breadth of experience is quite important, isn't it? Because the people who ring up could come from all sorts of backgrounds and in all sorts of situations.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, all walks of life. But they're just normal people. They're just everyday people. They've got their own stuff going on, but they've got this ability to be able to empathise and listen to other people. And
if somebody's not suffering problems themselves, but they've got a friend or relative, they can ring up as well.
It's to support anybody related, because as we know, there's always this ripple effect. If somebody is particularly poorly, then if you're concerned, just ring up and we can speak to you. And
we've also got a kind of arrangement with Samaritans. So.
That's right, yes. People often ask me, because they see our opening times, so what happens when we're closed? So if you contact Mindline Somerset when we're closed, you'll get a message giving you the option to be put through to the local Samaritans or to be put through to Mind Info Line. Now, Mind Info Line is a national helpline. It's a 24/7 national helpline which will help you with a wide range of topics, and they can signpost you to the appropriate place. And like I said, the other option is you can get put through to our local Samaritans.
We mainly, September Radio mainly serves this sort of area of Somerset and so on, but we do have an internet stream and we have listeners all over the place, really. Most places have got either a Samaritans or Mindline in the area, haven't they? So if somebody is listening very remotely, then presumably there's GPs, all sorts of people could tell them where they are, because Mind is a national organisation, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
And Samaritans.
There's not that many Mindline out there. There are some. I know there's in London, in Cumbria, and some other places. So not all Mind in different towns and cities will have a confidential helpline like this.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, we do take calls from outside the area. We don't turn anybody away.
Okay.
There's another aspect with Mindline is that it is a self-referral service. So, here I'm plugging it. I'll give out the numbers in a minute, that if you want to ring us and talk about yourselves or talk about a family member or somebody close, then please feel free. But we do, because it's self-referral, like I say, it means that anyone is free to pick up the phone and talk to us. But sometimes it's difficult for someone to make that first move, to pick up the phone and talk. To address this, we offer a referral service whereby it can be a healthcare professional, a support worker, or somebody acting on behalf of someone, for example, like a group leader. And they can contact us and we can make an arrangement and make that first call to that person who may need some help.
And I suppose we should say that it's. I mean, we know there's still a lot of stigma attached to mental health issues, but sort of emphasise nobody should feel embarrassed or ashamed about needing help. And that I guess that's sometimes a barrier to contacting.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Our mission is to remove the stigma around mental health, and just put it up there with physical health. It's health. Whether it's physical or whether it's mental, and if you've got a problem, there's people out there that can help you. What I haven't touched on is just to remind you again about Mindline Trans Plus, which is a new member of the Mindline family, launched this year, and this also offers confidential emotional help and support and information for those people who identify as trans or gender fluid or non-binary, and their family and friends. Again, it's for anybody who needs some information about something. Your calls will be answered by specially trained volunteers. For Mindline Trans Plus, the volunteers are trans or trans allies, and they give up their time to be there for you to respond to your call. Just to go over the times, Mindline Somerset is open on a Tuesday, a Wednesday, a Friday, a Saturday and a Sunday between 8 p.m. and 11 p.m. Mindline Trans Plus is open on a Monday and a Friday, 8 p.m. to midnight. The numbers for Mindline Somerset are 01823 276 892. For Mindline Trans Plus is 0300 330 5468.
Okay, thanks, and we'll give those details out at the end of the show in case you haven't got a pen handy, and aim to put the details up on the community show webpage as well. If you've just tuned in, I'm talking to Tessa Mason from Mindline, which is part of Mind in Taunton and West Somerset. As we said in the first part, we will give contact details out again at the end, but at the moment with the festive season coming up, which is not necessarily festive for everybody, people might assume that was a really busy time for somebody like Mindline and Samaritans, but is that the case?
I hear what you're saying, Barry. It is generally accepted that this time of year is particularly difficult for so many people, and especially for those suffering from mental ill health. Isolation and loneliness, as you know, is a problem all year round. But it does seem to be much more acute at Christmas. I think people are watching everyone running around, they're being happy, everyone's laughing, everybody's families are meeting up and they haven't seen each other for a long time. So if you're feeling pretty rotten, it's not a good time of year. Surprisingly though, over the holiday season, we see a slight drop in calls, and that surprised me when I first started to get involved with Mindline. And we're not sure what the reasons are for this. It may be because there's an assumption we're not open, because I think a lot of people, especially people who are receiving help for their mental health during the day, during the week, see some services, the statutory services, maybe sort of closed down for long weekends, stuff like that, and they may assume that the help isn't out there. But it's just to let you know, Mindline is open throughout the holiday period and open at our usual days, at our usual times. We are here for you.
excuse me, we've talked a lot about the callers, a fair amount about the callers. What about the volunteers? I think you're sort of recruiting for volunteers at the moment, and so maybe let people know what they expect there.
Yeah, okay. Well, the volunteers are just amazing people. They're absolutely. I'm just so proud of what they do and the time that they give up to it. So, and yes, we are always looking for volunteers. And if you're interested, we'll give a number again at the end of the this interview. What we ask for volunteers is obviously you need to have an empathy and an understanding. The training is really quite thorough, so you pick up everything you need to know during the training period. The listening skills, I think, is the most enlightening one. It's difficult when you're bearing in mind you're listening to somebody on a telephone. So the normal interactions we get, you don't get eye contact, you can't read body language. What you're doing, you're just totally focusing on that telephone call, on the voice at the end of the phone. Now, with regard to the callers, we don't need to know their names, we don't need to know where they're ringing from, and we only need to hear what they're willing to disclose to us. Some of that can be quite harrowing, it can be quite traumatic, and the call handlers know what to expect, they know how to handle it, and they know how to deal with it. Just as a release that after a particularly hard call, the call handlers always work in pairs, that there's an opportunity there where they just have about 10 minutes with each other just to I say wind down from the call. It's about a self-care, it's about acknowledging what you've heard and how you can process that yourself. So to be a Mindline volunteer, you are looked after very well. We have the self-care, the immediate self-care, we have supervisors on hand. There's a monthly supervision meeting where it's an opportunity to meet all the other volunteers because you don't always work all together, and an opportunity to meet and have a chat. There is clinical supervision for which is done externally, so as project leaders we don't sit in on that, so call handlers have an opportunity to discuss their own feelings in private. Then there's one-to-ones with Linda, the other project manager. Every other month the meeting is educational training. So if there's a particular training issue we need to go over, we'll go over that. If not, we'll get an external speaker in, somebody from the mental health field, just to give us an update and insight into what other organisations run. And just recently we've had a talk on addictions, which is really, really interesting, very eye-opening. And more recently we had a talk from one of the managers at our local crisis team, which is obviously a team that we work quite closely with, of an evening, and it was really good to hear what she had to say about the services.
So I mentioned what I think must be one of the hardest things to deal with, silent calls or semi-silent calls.
Yeah, we do get silent calls. They can be difficult, but equally, I think what we're delivering a very important service by just staying on the line. Now, I completely understand it's taken a lot of nerve or a lot of somebody's energy to pick up the phone to make that call, and then they find they can't talk. Yeah. That's perfectly all right. A silent call isn't a wasted call. We don't rush them off the line. We will just talk to them gently, and we'll have some space. Silence isn't a bad thing. Unlike me now, you don't have to fill your time up with talking all the time. And we'll just give them space, and then every few minutes we'll just say, we're still here for you, and when you're ready, we'll listen to you.
And what other sort of particularly difficult calls do you get?
I think difficult calls, we get people ringing in a high state of anxiety, and they can be very difficult because yes, you're listening and it's not about your input, but it's about letting that person get out of their system what they need to say. So that is a listening call. That's very much a listening call. We're very good at people who just need to vent and to rant. Our call handlers do venting, and they do ranting very, very well. I have been asked whether we get many aggressive calls. We do witness aggression sometimes, but it's very, very rarely directed at us. The person is being aggressive because of something else that's happened in their lives, and again, we're there to let them let off steam, and I think that's a valuable service. Difficult calls, crisis calls, again, they can be very, very difficult. If somebody's again in the depths of despair, and they're talking about taking their lives, that can be a very, very hard call. But the training's there. You don't go live until you've got the confidence that you know how to deal with the call. Yes, there's ways of dealing with these calls, and that's all I can say really on that matter. Because the calls are completely confidential, we don't know who's ringing us unless they divulge that. On these particularly difficult calls, if they hang up, we don't know. We will never know what the outcome was, and that can be quite tough. But that's part of the service, and to maintain our confidentiality, which is our promise, we have to accept that sometimes calls end abruptly and we'll never know what's happened.
Yeah. So if anybody's interested in volunteering for Mindline, which we hope they are, how should they get in touch?
Okay, right, well, you can ring the Mind and Taunton West Somerset office on 01823 334 906 and just have a word with the receptionist and say that you're interested in volunteering. Or we have got, if you go onto our website, we have got a link there which is Mindline at mindtws.org.uk. Use that email address and we'll get back to you.
Okay, thanks. And for anybody around with Liscombe area, where of course Thames Radio is based, there are details of Mindline in various places, the library, community office, and of course we'll keep them in Thames Radio as well. So if you want to have a look out for flyers and posters around town, they'll be there. I think if we give all the contact details out again for people who didn't have a pen handy. Right,
okay then. Well, starting from the top, Mindline Somerset, the number is 01823 276 892, and that is for anybody wanting to ring up and get some emotional support from our team. Mindline Somerset is open on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays and Sundays between 8 p.m. and 11 p.m. Mindline Trans Plus is, you can contact them on 0300 330 5468, and Mindline Trans Plus is open on Mondays and Friday evenings between 8 p.m. and midnight.
Well, thanks very much to talking to us.
Oh, sorry, Barry, I was just going to say, and just a reminder that we are open over the Christmas week and the New Year week on those usual dates and times. There will be somebody there to.
Okay, great. Well, thanks very much for talking to us. And,
thank you.
I'm hoping that we'll keep our listeners updated on mind issues over the coming months.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.